Okay, it's about 6 minutes to 8, which is close to 9 o'clock. Go ahead and call.
Followed by the pound key. Please enter the call ID, followed by the pound key. Please enter the PIN, followed by the pound key. You are entering the meeting now. Good morning, Mrs. Ashley with Judge Brennan's Chambers. How are you?
Well, it is early for me. It is not quite 8 o'clock, but yeah, I guess I'm here. This is Pastor Martin Lindstedt.
Is this Martin?
Pastor Martin Lindstedt, yeah.
Okay. Give me just a moment. Okay, I'm going to transfer you over to the judge's line.
Okay.
Good morning, this is Judge Brennan. We're here for a status conference in 1:21 CB 1809. That's Rio versus Lindstedt. Today's date is October 12th. Thank you both for being on the line. I understand that we have Mr. Rio and we have Mr. Lindstedt. Is that correct, Mr. Rio?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. And you're here as well, Mr. Lindstedt.
Yeah, Pastor Martin Lindstedt here.
I'm so sorry, sir. That wasn't very clear. What did you say?
Pastor Martin Lindstedt of the Aryan Nations here.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if it's the phone is perhaps too close, but it is a little hard to hear you, sir. But I was able to understand that you are, in fact, on the phone. So the first order of business this morning is to discuss the fact that this case has been returned to my docket in light of Magistrate Judge Faulkner's retirement this summer. So the first question I have for the parties is whether or not you will consent to the newly appointed magistrate judge, Jennifer Armstrong. Mr. Rio, what is your position with respect to that?
I'm fine with that.
Mr. Lindstedt?
My position is, and this is, I think, the 27th or 28th Brian Rio case against me and my church. And he's already he's already illegally gotten gotten my inheritance. Pretty well my position has been is that the proper venue isn't yet more of whatever I have left, if any, being taken away in Northeast Ohio. My position is that the proper venue is just like the very first Brian Rio federal lawsuit, is that it should be taken down to the Western District of Missouri, where I will be facing pretty well a jury of more of my peers who are totally different than the jury selection in Northeast Ohio.
So, Mr. Lindstedt, you've actually not answered the court question.
The thing,
Very discreet.
okay.
Will you consent to the jurisdiction of the magistrate judge like you did before, when it would be a new magistrate judge? Her name is Jennifer Armstrong, in light of Magistrate Judge Bachman's retirement. That's the question.
Okay. Well, the question is, just like jurisdiction, is that it should be sent, if anything, to a magistrate judge in the Western District of Missouri. I might very well consent to a Western District of Missouri magistrate judge, but I don't see how Northeast Ohio gets to go ahead and have Brian Rio essentially come up with all this all these cases here, about 20 some or more, to pretty well take my inheritance like he did. I pretty well, what I've said is that I've already made it quite clear that I want this case to be transferred to the Western District of Missouri, which is where I live, and then have either a full judge or a magistrate judge here or there.
All right, so Mr. Lindstedt, I'm just going to infer from that, again, non-response, frankly, that you do not consent to the magistrate judge making determinations in this case, and that in fact you are leaving it to me, the district judge, to resolve any pending motion in this matter. Is that correct?
I would say that would be correct in that I don't recognize the jurisdiction, so no, I just as soon have a full judge go ahead and be responsible for the claims of the federal court system.
All right, well, okay. I'm not going to argue the point, but a magistrate judge is a full judge, especially if the parties consent. So with that, then I will note for the minutes that you do not consent to the jurisdiction of the magistrate judge. The parties can change that position anytime should they wish it. So pending before me now are several motions. Document number 7 is Mr. Lindstedt's motion to dismiss. Document number 8 is Mr. Leo's motion to strike before a more definite statement under Rule 12. There's also documents number 13 and 15, which appear to be the same, but perhaps same different uses, both of which assert a venue argument, so just outside you, Mr. Lindstedt. And Mr. Rio, you submitted document number 14 again, with a motion to strike. So here's what we're going to do with respect to these pending motions. The motions to strike, 8 and 14, will be denied. Mr. Rio, you will have the requisite number of days, I believe it's 30, we're addressing the positive motion, to respond to the motion to dismiss and documents 13 and 15, both of which assert venue challenges. And then Mr. Lindstedt, after Mr. Rio files his opposition, you will have 14 days from Kennedy to file a reply in support of your position. Is that understood?
Yes, I may or may not ask for, pretty well I'm pretty well in extreme poverty, and about the only, I can't really even go into town more than about 2 or 3 times a week because I don't have gasoline. But I may go ahead and ask to, if this thing does continue, I might very well ask for permission to file by electronic mail.
So, with respect to that, Mr. Lindstedt, I noted that in your motion to dismiss, you did raise this issue. And I will say there is a local rule 5.1, which can allow for what you're asking. But the court first has to make a determination that you are willing to file and receive electronically, and that you are able to do so. Do you have a computer?
Yes, I only have a cell phone hotspot. I'm not sure how long I'll be able for the cell phone, but yes. I also wish to point out that Brian Rio has, in violation of South Dakota law, gotten my inheritance in violation of South Dakota law 15-16A-6, which holds that he cannot, they cannot go ahead and sell my property until such time, or they essentially gave it to Brian Rio, until such time as all the appeals are done. In fact, they're in front of the 6th Circuit Court of Appeal, all 4 of them. They got consolidated about a month or so ago. So,
all right, well, that's not relevant to the issue of whether or not I can make a finding pursuant to our local rule that you are, in fact, willing and capable of electronic filing. So you indicate you have an operable computer, is that correct?
I have a number of old computers, yes, and they do, they're Windows 7, but they do get on the internet.
All right. And you will understand that you will have to check your computer. I mean, you'll be responsible for deadlines. If you are given permission and you go through the appropriate steps to actually get set up with electronic filing, you will be responsible for checking your email every day, because email service is perfected on the day that the document is filed. So if you don't check your email for 10, 14 days, you may miss a response time. Do you understand that?
I understand that, so that may be why I may decide not to get electronic filing. My entire point since Brian Rio started suing me is that by allowing Brian Rio to do that, this is an act of civil, racial, and religious war against the Aryan nations as well. So, pretty well, yes, I do understand what you're saying. The question has been, for me, just like with all this Brian Rio litigation, has been a question of lawful jurisdiction. My position is that Northeast Ohio doesn't have the jurisdiction to take myself and my church and whine about a known government agent provocateur going ahead and going after my property like he has said he is going to.
All right, Mr. Lindstedt, I have heard that argument numerous times already.
Okay.
Filed two briefs to that effect, so I'm aware of your position.
Yes.
Here's what's going to happen with respect to electronic filing. I will make the finding that you are willing and capable, and we will mail to you the form. You have to actually fill out the form and go through the steps to get set up with electronic filing.
Okay.
It's entirely up to you if you do support that. But I do remind you that if you sign up for electronic filing, after I've granted the permission to do so, and it is approved, you will have to check your email very regularly. Otherwise, you may miss the filing and you may miss the deadline. And I will not excuse my cause for missing a deadline simply because you didn't check your email. You understand that?
I check my email at least once every 2 days. Sometimes I have to go into Granby and use their Wi-Fi there. But yes, I understand what you're saying. If, on the other hand,
it will be up to you whether or not you submit the form. But if you do and you get approval and you're on DCF, then that responsibility is yours to really check your email. I also remind you that pursuant to our local rule, electronic filing privileges are limited just to this case, and those privileges can be revoked at any time by me. So if I see any additional filings that contain foul or offensive language, rest assured will revoke your privileges for electronic filing. Is that understood?
It's quite well understood. It's that, see, is how I hold political, racial, religious views, which are, which are essentially antithetical to this particular government, current government. I can quite well understand is that, really when it comes down to it, I really don't have any rights other than what I think I can go ahead and get away with. I have a question. If I don't go ahead and file for that electronic stuff, will I be given a little bit extra time because it takes 5 days usually to get here, and then it takes another 2 or 3 days for, oftentimes because I can't afford to go to town, and then I have to go ahead and mail it off, usually using postage I bought a couple of years ago, to mail it off. Will I be getting more time if I do not avail myself of electronic filing?
You will get the time afforded by rule, no more, no less. So that is the way it works. It works from the date of service. Regular U.S. mail is considered, but I'm not affording you any additional time. This will be, if you elect not to proceed with electronic filing, the standard deadlines with respect to receipt by U.S. mail will apply. And since you are here present, will be responsibility to determine what those time frames are. And as we relate to that, you being here pro se, it's important. I believe some of your filings have indicated that you perceive yourself as one of several defendants, and I want to be very clear on 2 points. One, only you were identified in the complaint as a defendant. This is a one-defendant case with you as the lone defendant. To proceed pro se in any event, even if Mr. Rio were to add additional defendants, a pro se defendant can only represent himself. You cannot represent pro se any religious institution or organization. So I want to be very clear on that. The case captions where you indicate you are one of several defendants or claimants, I think you've identified, that is just not accurate, and you could not proceed as a defendant. Do you understand?
I understand that's the position of the current government. Pretty much Brian Rio has pretty well taken, with the aid of South Dakota government, pretty well whatever I have. But by this time, it's just pretty well the government is proceeding against myself as the head of a racial and religious and political organization. But yes, I understand what you're saying. I do not agree with it, but yes, I understand exactly what you're saying.
All right. And with respect to proceedings as we go forward, we will not force management conference until such time as the court has ruled on the motion to dismiss. If the motion to dismiss or transfer venue, if those are denied, and this matter is in fact staying here before me in the Northern District of Ohio, I want to be very clear of my expectations with respect to professionalism. I will not tolerate foul or abusive language. And while I could have struck the filings that you have put on the docket today, Mr. Lindstedt, I'm not, because I want this matter to resolve expeditiously. But going forward, you need to clearly understand that filings that call Mr. Rio names or attack him in the manner in which you've already stated in these filings will not be permitted, and I will strike filings going forward. Do you understand?
I understand is that Mr. Rio, for years, pretended to be a white supremacist. He wasn't white, and what he is that he, him with other people, are essentially Asian provocateurs.
Mr. Lindstedt, this is not an opportunity for you to argue your point. I understand the court's expectation.
I understand the
It's a yes or
expectation.
no question, yes or no.
I find the court's expectations unrealistic and tyrannical, but yes, I do understand that.
All right. With the dates having been set, Mr. Rio, is there anything else you wish to raise with the court at this time?
Yes, you said you were denying the motions to strike, but one was in the alternative for a motion for more definite statement, and that is being denied as well? Okay.
Yes.
And then you said I would have 30 days to respond to the motion to dismiss, and then if that's 14 days to respond to the change of venue, or is it 30 for both?
No, you can consolidate your responses to the pending motions by Mr. Lindstedt or documents 7, 13, and 15. You can consolidate one opposition, and that could be, that you can consolidate one opposition. You have 30 days to do that. Or you can file them separately. That's entirely up to you. If you want to consolidate, that's fine. But you have 30 days to respond to 7, 13, and 15. And then Mr. Lindstedt have 14 days to file the petition.
Do I understand that he has up to 30 days, and then I have 14 days to respond, and then you make a ruling, and then if one or the other doesn't like, we of course can go ahead and essentially file a Rule 59E or Rule 60 motion, and then we could proceed, from there here. If it does go there, I might very well wish to go ahead and counterclaim on Brian Rio's or Mr. Rio's government, government handlers and a number of other people who have essentially been part of his, corporation. So I would probably, after all this, I would have a chance to go ahead and make a claim and counterclaim as well.
Mr. Lindstedt, I'm not in a position to advise you on what the rules provide. I can't give you any legal advice, so you will need to review the rules. What I can say is that I'm not ordering a response of pleading to the complaint at this time. Should the court deny your motions, that order will include the time frame for an answer. Other than that, I'm not providing you any legal advice.
And calculate, well, maybe if we drag it on long enough, there might not be a government left very long. But yeah, I sort of understand. He got, Mr. Rio got 30 days, and doubtless it'll probably be within a day or so, and then I'll have about 14 days to go ahead and respond.
That is the timeline that's in place, yes.
Well, the thing is that he's not a private individual. He is not only a public figure, but he is a government agent provocateur for the past 20-some years. But yes, I do hear and I do understand. It's just that pretty well myself and my Aryan Nations Church have been chased and harassed since 2010 by Mr. Rio. I'm not going to pretend to any professionalism, other than between, belligerents. All right.
Well, Mr. Rio, was there anything else you would clarify or ask at the court this time?
No, other than that, I did not come prepared to litigate this case on the phone today, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to respond to the substance of what Mr. Lindstedt saying, because I don't think it's germane to why we're here.
Much of what Mr. Lindstedt has said is contained in the motions that he has filed. He will have an opportunity to respond in writing. Mr. Lindstedt, is there anything else you wish to clarify or state at this time?
Well, I'm running as a write-in candidate for United States Senator, and I have gone ahead and notified, the congressmen, the senators, as to what Mr. Rio's actions are, more than likely to entail against Northeast Ohio. And I have been told by a previous judge that I have to get permission from Congress to go ahead and sue state government. That very well might be the case in the future. I do think that the actual law, like like Judge Quinn said, was to bring it down to the Western District of Missouri, where there are, I'd say about 60-70% of the at least the white male population of my age, pretty well are more in line with me as opposed to Northeast Ohio, which are quite in line with Mr. Rio. But yes, I mean, he always goes ahead and does that. I would say this is probably, we probably covered what we're going to cover for today. So, might as well, just get her done. Will I be?
Well, that concludes this call then for the court. The deadlines have been set. The admonitions have been stated. The court will make the appropriate findings under Local Rule 5.1, and Mr. Lindstedt, it will be up to you to decide whether or not to go ahead and fill out the form and to seek authorization for electronic filing. I've explained what that can mean, what your obligations are, and that privilege can't be revoked at any time. With that concludes this call. I wish you both well. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye, Aaron. Thank you.
Hail victory.
You are the only participant.
Well, see, that's the problem. That's the problem that all these corrupt governments have. They pretend that they have a legitimacy. So it's the 13th of June, soon after. I mean, the same stupid crap. I am just simply a herd animal. I have to act professional while Brian Rio takes my property. While the state of South Dakota goes ahead and gives it to Brian Rio. And the thing about it is that look, state of South Dakota, look, judges, lawyers, and the rest, I have no problem with, essentially, mainly, killing the lot of you. And certainly, if I get the chance of grabbing your children and making you eat your spawn's nuts, of essentially sodomizing your daughters with a broomstick if you don't do it with your own pecker. And then going ahead and, guess what? Under the new order, you're either exterminated or enslaved. Sterilized. Here it is. I mean, I do not recognize that they have a jurisdiction. None of them did. Guess what? Northeast Ohio, I don't have a problem any more than with Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? If I end up having the ability to go ahead and Chernobylize the North Perry nuclear power plant. Now, I don't have the money. And doubtless, this phone, there's a cell phone tower, about, half mile, 3/4 of a mile away from me. Zog is able to go ahead and tell that I'm here. I'm here 90% of the time because I don't have money to go nowhere. The thing is that creatures like Brian Rio wouldn't be alive. Him and his worthless family, essentially mongrels and Jews and satanic members here, wouldn't be alive. FBI wouldn't be alive. We ought to defund the FBI. Well, no. What we ought to do is hunt them down. Their entire family. lock them up in the J. Edgar Hoover building, set fire to it, then shoot them down like rats or Branch Davidians when they go ahead and escape the burning building. Really simple. How in the world does Brian Rio got any ability to go ahead? I say he was a crazy homosexual mongrel who I found out worked at the North, went ahead and may well have gotten fired. But he's already taken my inheritance. And I'm already, for that sort of thing, going to take everything the current South Dakota government regime has. And guess what? It will be probably a more just order, because these evil people do whatever the hell they want to do. In any case, well, hell, that thing didn't last half an hour. Pretty well, what it boils down to is Brian Rio just going to go ahead and take what little I got left here. I don't have anything left here. He went ahead and did what he said he was going to do. Rendered me poor, impoverished. Luckily, back when I had money, I bought a whole bunch of cheap meat and stuff like that, and now I'm eating it. But no, I do not have it. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be tyrannized over by these bastards. It's a privilege to go ahead and have assholes from Northeast Ohio, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, that used to, run out people stupid enough to come visit them, so they would go to the caravan route between the Red Sea and Mesopotamia, and then go ahead, kidnap them, rob them, and then murder them. I mean, hey, the jurisprudence of Zog Babylon is the same jurisprudence as Sodom and Gomorrah and the other three cities of the plain, but it's far more hypocritical and self-righteous here. I tell you, what happens, I think, that sooner or later, I mean, because people are getting stupid. I mean, Brian Rio's not that smart. Not that smart. What happens, I expect him within a day or so to come up with his bullshit. And they'll have to go ahead and answer it. Okay? More than likely, I will go ahead and ask for, whatever. But, I mean, it's all about lawyers. That's why what you do. And that's why I decided to go ahead and go against Northeast Ohio. Pretty well what these lawyers have done is said, well, guess what? We get to go ahead and run this here little thieving ring here. And your only way to be in there is as a defendant. You're not a citizen. You are essentially a subject. That's why there's no such thing as an American anymore. They're all, every one of us is Zoglings. People like me who want to go ahead and see Zog Babylon burn, I'm Zogling. I'm just simply a subject. Brian Rio? Well, hey, he gets to run wild. He gets to run wild. So yeah, guess what? J.D. Vance, guess what? Ryan, pretty well have a question here. What you're doing is you're setting it up to where, hey, guess what? Brian Rio's a coward. He would never show up to a Klan meeting or a Christian Identity actual meeting. He'd only show up, like say in Bingham, New York, when he ends up having a bunch of Jews like Eli James and Bale Fink there. He won't show up. He won't show up to unreconstructed white men. But no, he's allowed to do that. Look, I don't really care. You assholes in South Dakota, you're going to eat your spawn's nuts. Be the governor, and be every single lawyer, every single judge, every single cop, every single government worker. It depends here. But, yeah, you're going to eat your spawn's nuts. You're going to eat your spawn's nuts. That's sort of stupid crap here. You got to be professional. I'm not professional. Maybe I'm a professional revolutionary. So sooner or later, I think Civil War's coming closer and closer and closer. But guess what? Go ahead and drag it on for the next couple of years. Of course, I don't know if I have enough money to go ahead and make it, past the next couple of months. I don't think I have the money to pay the taxes on what I have. So anyway, this is Pastor Mark Lindstedt. It is what, the 12th of October, 2022. It is 8:32. Pastor Mark Lindstedt of the Church of Jesus Christ Christian, Area Nations, Missouri. P.O. Box 338. 338 Rap Track Road, P.O. Box 666, Granby, Granby, Missouri 64844. So until later, hail victory.